if I tell you that there are 10 anime that you can finish overnight? And no, you can still get some good sleep after watching those. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Eternal Quan. First up on our number 10 spot is Eternal Quan. Imagine, there are these people called awakened humans who suddenly get these super cool powers out of the blue, thanks to something called awakening. But instead of throwing a party, some real shady groups decide to kidnap these poor awakened kids and do some pretty nasty stuff to them, all in the name of turning them into weapons. Not cool, right? But then, there's Quan, the big hero of the story. He's the head of this group called the Attractors. Their whole deal is to swoop in and rescue these kidnapped kids, showing them the ropes on how to control their powers. Let me tell you, it's no walk in the park, but Quan and his crew are dead set on setting things right. And get this, the story unfolds across not one, not two, but 6 movies. Each one's like a roller coaster ride full of epic fights and moments that really tug at your heartstrings. Even though there's a whole bunch of movies, they're so darn fun that you could binge watch them in one sitting without even realizing it. But hey, Eternal Quan isn't just about beating up bad guys. It's also about sticking up for what's right and being there for your buddies when they need you most. So if you're up for a wild adventure packed with action and heart, you've gotta give Eternal Quan a shot. Trust me, you won't regret it. Boogie Pop Phantom. At number 9 is Boogie Pop Phantom. This anime is super dark and gritty, filled with lots of gory scenes that'll make your hair stand on end. It's like a thrilling roller coaster ride you can't get enough of. With its mysterious vibes and over-the-top violent scenes, it's got everything you'd expect from a show like this. The story unfolds in a Japanese city that doesn't have a name. It's set a month after this weird pillar of light showed up in the sky, and 5 years after a bunch of serial killings went down. Boogie Pop Phantom focuses on a bunch of different characters, mostly high school kids who saw what happened and now have to deal with the aftermath. As if things weren't already crazy enough, now high school students are vanishing again, and guess who's getting blamed? Yep, you guessed it, Boogie Pop, this urban legend who's supposedly death in the flesh. Akudama Drive. On number 8, we have Akudama Drive. Picture this. In a future world where Kansai is like this underdog to Kanto, there's this group of super skilled criminals called Akudama. They get this mysterious message from someone asking them to bust out this death row prisoner called Cutthroat before they get the axe. Now, 4 of these Akudama decide to take on the challenge and head straight into Kansai Police headquarters, all in hopes of scoring a fat paycheck. But here's the twist. Once they're inside, they realize this whole thing was just a setup by their mystery client. Turns out they've been roped into a much bigger job than they bargained for. Let me tell you, this anime is pure chaos from start to finish. It's like a wild roller coaster ride with tons of action, battles, and plot twists thrown in every direction. But you know what really sets this show apart? Its style. I won't spill too many beans about the series though, because it's one of those shows you can binge watch in one go without ever feeling bored. Trust me, once you start, you won't want to stop. So buckle up and get ready for a wild ride with Akudama Drive, Erased. Alright, so in 2006, there's this guy named Satoru Fujinuma. He's 29 and trying to make it as a manga artist in Chiba, but things aren't exactly going his way. Here's the kicker though. Satoru's got this crazy ability called revival. Basically, it sends his mind back in time right before something bad is about to happen, giving him a chance to stop it. But then, tragedy strikes. Satoru's mom gets murdered in their own home by some creep, and you won't believe what happens next. His revival power kicks in big time, sending him back a hopping 18 years into the past. Now, Satoru's got a shot not only to save his mom, but also to stop a serial killer from hurting 3 of his childhood buddies, including this girl from another school. Talk about a wild ride, right? So, if you're into gripping thrillers with a hint of time travel, buckle up for Erased. It's one heck of a story that'll keep you glued to your seat till the very end. Alice and Borderland. Coming in at number 6, we've got Alice and Borderland. Imagine feeling so lost and meaningless in your own life that when you're suddenly whisked away to another world that's completely abandoned, with not a soul in sight, you finally feel alive. That's the bizarre reality for our main guy in this story. When R and his pals find themselves in this strange new world, they quickly realize that their lives are on the line every second of the day. But here's the kicker. Instead of feeling scared, they feel this weird rush of excitement like they've never felt before. In this world, they've got to play these intense games where they literally risk their lives to have a shot at getting back home. And get this, there are 4 types of games they gotta play: spades, diamonds, hearts, and clubs. So if you're up for a thrilling adventure filled with danger and excitement, Alice and Borderland is the way to go. It's like nothing you've ever seen before, and it'll keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Alright, let's talk about number 4, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. So this anime is kinda like a spin-off from this game called Cyberpunk 2077, but it's its own thing too. It's set in Night City, this really sketchy place in California where corruption runs rampant. Alright, check this out. In a messed up world full of corruption and crime, there's this kid named David Martinez. He's pretty smart, but life hasn't been easy for him. Then, one day, he loses everything in this crazy drive-by shooting. But instead of giving up, David decides to tough it out and survive by any means necessary. He ends up becoming an edge runner, which is basically a fancy term for a high-tech mercenary who works on the shady side of things. You might also hear them called cyberpunks. So yeah, David's life takes a wild turn as he dives into this gritty underworld of crime and cybernetic enhancements. But hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to survive, right? And that's exactly what David's all about in this dystopian adventure. And get this, you can binge watch the whole anime in just one night, cause it's only got 10 episodes. So if you're into action-packed adventures with a cyberpunk twist, Cyberpunk Edge Runners is definitely worth checking out. Bunny Drop. Now, if you're looking for something sweet and heartwarming, this anime's got you covered. Seriously, it's like a big ol' hug in TV show form. Bunny Drop, also known as Usagi Drop, follows the story of this 30-year-old guy who kinda feels lost in life. Alright, let me break it down for you. When Daikichi Kawachi, a 30-year-old guy, heads back home for his grandpa's funeral, he gets hit with a bombshell. Turns out, his grandpa had a secret daughter named Rinkaga, and she's just 6 years old. But here's the kicker, none of his relatives want anything to do with her. They treat her like she's some kind of embarrassment, which really ticks Daikichi off. So instead of sitting around and letting Rin suffer, Daikichi steps up and decides to take care of her himself. Keep in mind, this guy's single and has zero experience when it comes to raising kids. But hey, he's not about to let Rin fend for herself. 91 days. It's the United States, 1932, smack dab in the middle of Prohibition. Bootleg booze is everywhere, and the Italian mafia is calling the shots. Enter Angelo Lagusa, a guy with a serious grudge. His family was wiped out in a mafia turf war, and now he's out for revenge. But not just any revenge. Angelo's got his sights set on the Vanetti family, especially their big boss, Don Vincent Vanetti. This guy's like the kingpin of Lawless, pulling all the strings and making life miserable for everyone else. Angelo's not messing around. He's ready to take down the Vanetti family, one member at a time if he has to. And with his connections to the Cosa Nostra, the Italian-American mafia, he's got some serious firepower on his side. 91 Days is all about Elio's journey for vengeance. He's got nothing left to lose, so he's willing to do whatever it takes to bring down the people who destroyed his family. It's a gritty tale of revenge and redemption that'll keep you hooked from start to finish. Grand Blue. And now, it's time for our number 1 spot. Let's dive into the chaotic world of Grand Blue. So picture this. Our main guy, Lori, moves into a room above his uncle's diving shop, all ready for a chill college experience. But boy, is he in for a surprise. He walks in expecting a quiet dive shop, but instead, he's greeted by a bunch of buff dudes who seem more interested in partying and stripping down than actually diving. Talk about awkward despite Lori's best efforts to distance himself from the madness. He gets sucked right into their crazy shenanigans. Meanwhile, his cousins are all about showing him the beauty of diving into the ocean and all that jazz. It's like a cringe-worthy sitcom, but with diving and a whole lot of naked buff dudes. Yori's in for a wild ride, that's for sure. And trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment of the hilarity that ensues in Grand Blue. So So there you have it, folks. Our top pick for the ultimate laugh out loud anime experience. And hey, if you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.